Good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern, the first independent speedway show broadcast by the fans for the fans since 2009, and still the only fully interactive and live speedway show. Now, I love this nitty-gritty point in the season. We've got all the cut and thrust of league racing. It's just the best. Except at Birmingham, it's tumbleweed time because we've got no racing until next week. It's been a 3-week break. Only in Speedway.
Good evening.
Good evening. There we go. Did that work for you?
I'm hoping it did.
Okay.
You're hoping it did.
Yeah,
it's not very assuring, is it?
We tried something new with the introduction there, with the music continuing while I was sort of speaking, so you can let us know how it went.
That's why everyone's ripped their headphones off and covering their ears, probably. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's bit sort of tumbleweed time at Birmingham at the moment.
Not very good at this time of the year, is it? We've got the summer and we're not seeing any racing. Mind
you, to be fair, the way the weather's been, we might not have seen any racing anyway, but
very true.
That's always also a possibility. So on tonight's show, we have got the chief promoter, I suppose you could say, of the consortium.
I thought you were going to say the chief weasel.
The chief weasel. Mr. Nigel Tolley will be on. So if you've got any questions to ask him, grab your questions, shove them on the shout box and let us know. Talking the shout box, would you like to say hello to everybody for us?
Hello to Elliot, Dave, Andrew, Simon. Laurence is on as well. Pete Clark. Simon said there was no sound. Okay. There is now. Rich Thomas, no sound, chaps, at the beginning. I'll have to have a look at that, see what's gone wrong.
Oh dear.
You broke it again.
Told you not to experiment, didn't you?
Okay. It's hopefully it's working now. So there we go.
Okay.
Quick sound check, everyone.
We need Pete. You need to change your name. Pete is now known as Rain Off Pete. He'll understand why. So good week for Wolverhampton.
Well, apart from last night, yeah, it was a good week until the tax went up at Bellevue last night. It's biggest defeat of the season and another late capitulation, which seems to be happening a bit too often at the moment away from home. So,
are you missing Luke Becker?
I think a little bit, yeah. Certainly at Bellevue, because he usually does well at Bellevue. It's his sort of track. I think we got 6 points from Road Replacement, which he probably would have got more than that. But at the end of the day, Bellevue, they are capable of doing that to any team in the league. They've done it to quite a few teams already over the last couple of years. So it's just. It's got to take it on the chin and move on. Of course, we're in action again on Thursday at Ipswich. Of course, we've already won there once this season, so it'd be great to go there and win again and get the pressure up on the top of the table.
I think that task has been made slightly more difficult with the way the averages have moved about at Ipswich and putting Daniel Hume back down at reserve.
Yeah, that's going to be a big boost for them, but. It's going to be an interesting one. I didn't expect to win at Ipswich last time, and we managed to go and do it. So if we can do it again, it'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Pete says I wasn't well.
Sure.
Can you hear the violins?
Excuses.
Yeah. Pete, you've never been well. So, yeah, I mean, up until that, Wolverhampton had a great time. I can't say much about Birmingham because
it's not been anything really going on, is there?
Right decision to stop the under-19s last week.
Probably the wrong decision to start in the first place.
Probably,
really.
Yeah, I think
there wasn't. The forecast was pretty bad for most of the day, wasn't it? But it wasn't until late that the rain.
It was about 15 minutes before they started racing.
Once it came, it didn't off-gun, didn't it? So.
Yeah, and it stayed all the way till 11 o'clock, and I can vouch for that because I was at the track till 11 o'clock picking up the tyres.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it isn't just the rain as well; it's the visibility. I mean, obviously, we drove home after the meeting, and the visibility on the motorway isn't great when it's raining. So that's really the big issue with calling meetings off due to rain. Is not just the wet; it's the fact that riders just can't see.
So just had a little message from Laurence Rogers. I think I can just read it. It says the Bernie Pearson book, The Black Country Swede, will be launched tomorrow at Wetherspoons, Cradley Heath. £10 with donation to cancer charity, several riders in attendance. So that sounds like that might be fun.
I'm assuming Barry Briggs won't be one of them. So.
Yeah. Laurence, mate, would you like to come on and speak a little bit about that if we get the chance later tonight? If you want to, we can do that for you. And Jeff Daniel says Nichols is a guest for Becker on Thursday, which I think is Ipswich is a good
guest. Ipswich particularly, yeah.
So I'd like to sort of catch up on some of the other comments, but I can't because
our producer's decided to clear off.
Yeah, where's he gone?
He's got bored, I think. So
I think he's probably trying to get in touch with Nigel.
Oh, fair enough.
It's what's going on. So Leicester continue to do really well. We should talk about the best pairs actually. Won by Bellevue.
Yep.
And surprisingly in the final against Peterborough.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, obviously, it wasn't. It's fair to say if it had been bona fide top two from each team, then you would have fancied Ipswich with Doyle and Seifutanov. I didn't see the meeting, but I've gathered it wasn't a classic, and there was a lot of things there, a lot of things that went on that didn't really set it in very good stead, which is disappointing really because I mean obviously the competition rules were changed obviously after the season started, of course, because it was going to be several legs on some of the not all the tracks like last season, but some of them. But I think obviously with the fact that we had so many rain-offs at the start of the season, they made the decision to sort of change it so that it was only over one meeting, and that was at Leicester. I suppose theoretically you could have possibly done it at a championship track, so that there's no home advantage, but anyhow.
Well, you say that, but would most of the riders ride in both leagues now anyway? So
that is very true. Yeah, so.
I'm not sure that you can say that anymore. Laurence Rogers says, as for last week's under-19, it had stopped, and then two black, I'm guessing, clouds. There you go. What's going on? Hello. Two black clouds arrived with the rain starting again. Decision to start was unanimous. And something I should say is the attitude of the riders.
I think clearly the riders wanted to have a go, didn't they? You tend to find it with that age that they, at the end of the day, they know that they need to learn how to ride in these wet conditions. So they obviously wanted to race, but I think with the benefit of hindsight, the decision to start the meeting probably was wrong, because I don't think it's certainly the first. We had 4 races, was it?
4 races,
yeah, and it certainly wasn't shaping up to be a classic meeting, was it? Because it was very, very strong house.
Yeah.
All four of them. So
Peter Clark's asked us to ask Nigel when will the rider changes be named. I never thought of asking him that.
I didn't think that.
Never thought of asking him that, Pete. Thank you for that. Sarcasm alive and well in Birmingham. So the other thing about I mean, you mentioned some things that went on that were a bit I think you used the word untoward. I can't remember. I haven't read anything or seen anything about anything this week because there's been family stuff going on. So tell me something. Have you got any little information about what you're talking about?
Just from things that I've read. The general consensus on certainly on the British Speedway Forum. Although of course obviously there's a lot of things on the BSF that people said no, it was a lot of rubbish, things like that, took too long and things like that. I suppose the one thing that sort of went against it a little bit was the fact that it was sort of promoted with the idea of Seifutanov and Doyle racing, but it's worth pointing out, of course, it was a rearranged meeting that wasn't in the calendar at the start of the season. The priority did go to the Polish League, who have Thursday nights as a night for scheduling meetings that have been called off. And I've always felt that if there's a fixture clash, the priority should always go to the date that was in the calendar first. I think that's the fairest way to do it.
Laurence has said he disagrees with you on starting the meeting. I think it's fair to say he probably disagrees with me as well, but I didn't want to pick all those tyres up. That's probably where I'm coming from with that. Susan Jordan says, Pete on Speedway Forum says tomorrow morning. I'm guessing she's talking about new signings for Birmingham, so maybe which makes...
Well, we will get it from the horse's mouth, won't we, hopefully, in a few
we will certainly raise the question, obviously. We shall certainly raise the question. So where did you disappear to, Mr. Producer Man?
I'm sorry, I was just getting the sound right. Because I'm the ultimate professional, obviously.
Who told you that?
Yeah, where'd you get that from? Okay, well, you might as well disappear again and go and see if you can get Mr. Tolley on the line then.
Just give me
He does comedy shows, to be fair. So.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I think. So.
Something like that, yeah. World Team Cup coming up.
Yep.
We should say that we won't be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
I did mention I've got a few family issues at the moment, so unfortunately we can't make a show next week. So we're a couple of weeks away from the World Team Cup. Have we had the riders named yet?
I think it'll be named in the next week or so.
Next week.
So we did sort of touch on this briefly last week as to who should get the pick. I think for me, Woofington, Lambert and Bewley, possibly Tom Brennan picked themselves. It's who's going to get the 5th place. I've seen a few people saying, does Todd Woofington warrant a spot because his form's not great, but it is.
I might have said that myself.
But it is on his home track in Poland, so
right.
that to me,
absolutely,
deflates that you've got to have somebody with the knowledge of the track. I believe it's Dan Bewley's home track as well.
Okay,
Rosslav. So,
I mean, who could possibly fill that last spot? Chris Harris has been mentioned. I think you mentioned him. Scott Nichols.
Scott's had a brilliant season. Whether he could live in that sort of competition, I'm sure he could back himself to do it, but he's probably already got arrangements to be there for TV work, so it's going to be difficult doing TV work if he's actually racing in the meeting. Charles Wright has had a good season. I think he might be potentially be.
I think that's a good
worth a shout.
Actually.
Bomber, I suppose, for his experience. I mean, I don't think he would say no, because I don't think Bomber's the sort of person who would ever say no to racing for his country.
He'd never says no to racing for anybody, does he? Let's be honest.
All these guest bookings that he gets, which is a fair, he's due his credit, because we think back to 3 or 4 years ago when we had the Speedway Nations, and he got some pretty horrific, criticism on social media after what was a disappointing performance for Chris, which was totally unwarranted.
Yeah, I mean, he does have disappointing performances. He did at Wolverhampton the other.
Yeah, he's had 2 disappointing performances at Wolverhampton this season. So,
but that happens with everybody, I guess.
It's going to be an interesting. I think, as I say, I think 4 of the riders picked themselves. It's who's going to get the 5th spot. But I would say Charles Wright, certainly. Steve Worrell, even Steve Worrell's is in great form at the moment, certainly for my club.
Who's got better experience on the Polish tracks, I suppose, is.
I think there's much of a muchness between the two of them. To be fair, I mean, some people might say Danny King. I don't know whether Danny King's form has warranted getting in.
I don't think it's been as good as he would hope.
But obviously, put your comments on.
Yep.
On the feed for guys, and then we'll obviously develop.
And then we'll laugh at them. No, we won't. Okay, hopefully, if all the technology is working, we should have Nigel Tolley on the line. Are you there, Nigel?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
The technology finally works. How are you, mate?
Well, it just so happens that I suppose I picked the best week for it, that I've gone down with the first cold since COVID, and of course I haven't had a cold now for about 2 years, so it's affected me a little bit. Never mind that.
Okay, well we'll try to give you easy questions, and no, we won't.
Yeah, take it easy on me.
So, if you was to, this is my first question to you. If you were able to go back in time a couple of years, what advice would you give to yourself about speedway promotion?
Oh dear. Well, I could give you a very simple answer on that one.
Don't do it.
Just don't go into it. You're living and learning all the time. Obviously, things have changed greatly over this sort of last 25 years. When I was into Speedway before, and really and truly, all teams are struggling a little bit with overheads, etc. People do say that all promoters are the same. They all take money out. Absolute load of nonsense. I wish I could say that, but it's completely the opposite. We shall never take anything out of Birmingham, as I've always said.
Yeah.
And there's a terrific amount going into it at the moment. But we shall see what develops on that one. We're still on our business plans, and I think things are moving forward quite nicely. And and we're sticking to our business plan.
I suppose, in a sense, Nigel, thinking about it, in the 2 years that in the sort of year and a half that you've been involved in Birmingham Speedway, you've certainly pretty much learned every single lesson there is to be learned about speedway promoting, as the pitfalls and the bad things as well. In particular, the bad things that have gone on with so many hurdles that you've had to overcome.
Yes, I've learned a terrific lot. I would still say I've still got a terrific lot to learn as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a continual learning curve. I don't think you'll ever not continue learning.
That's probably one of the good things, I guess. So if I was to ask you, since you've become a promoter at Birmingham, and we have to say I'll call you the promoter, but you've got a whole consortium behind you, what would you say is the best bit, worst bit, I asked, since you've been a promoter?
Right. Best bit is still the thrill of Speedway.
Love it.
As I've always said, Speedway never goes out of your blood. When
Absolutely.
you're into Speedway, you're into Speedway. And I've just missed Speedway so much over this last 30 years. I think what gets me more than anything, and this is one of the reasons why I will always continue to promote Birmingham and keep it on the right tracks and try and ensure that Birmingham is always there, the amount of messages that I get, it makes you realise that Speedway is some people's life.
Absolutely.
They live and breathe Speedway. It would, even looking down to our young lads, Lee, etc., that is becoming part of their lives, and to take that away from them would be a terrific wrench.
Absolutely.
And because of that, I will continue to do whatever I can to make sure there's a future for Birmingham.
Well, that's really, really nice to hear. Yep. On that sort of theme, we had a message from Anthony Bailey that came up. I can't see it now, so I'll see if I can paraphrase it. I was trying to find it. I basically says, can you pass on my gratitude to Nigel for all he does and is trying to do for Birmingham Speedway? So there you go.
Lovely. It's good to hear that sort of message.
Yeah, you are. Also, we have a certain Mr. Ryan Guest that said, well, that was a terrible point for me to tune in, and said, thanks for your compliments, Nigel.
Ryan knows what I mean.
Yeah. So,
I don't know where he's getting these sort of quotes, though, for microphones. I don't know. Well,
I'll have a word with him tomorrow. Right. So let's get back to we had the under-19 last week, 4 heats of. It was a shame, really. Have we got any return date penciled in yet?
No, they haven't got a date yet. We're going to. It's up to. It's not up to us really on that one. It's a date that suits everybody, and one that Neil Batcher will sort out.
Okay.
I should imagine it's going to be end of August, beginning of September, something like that.
Okay, so towards the end of when hopefully we've been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which will
I heard that earlier on about should we have not started the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously of rain, but it didn't really start until immediately before the meeting.
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes before the first race, wasn't it?
And, we looked at it and we thought, is it going to stop? Is it going to carry on or not? And to start off with, the first race wasn't too bad. But I went out onto the centre green and I was watching with John, our curator, and I thought, this isn't going to get a lot better. They say that the lads, the riders, still wanted to go ahead with it. But
yes.
You just couldn't risk it. It's got to be our paramount importance, especially after Edinburgh on the Friday before, when Joe broke his shoulder.
Yeah.
If the referee had listened to the two captains on that occasion, the meeting wouldn't have gone ahead, or it wouldn't have gone on beyond Heat 1. But the two captains said it was becoming dangerous, but the referee said carry on, and resulting in a broken collarbone. And it could have been a lot worse. Now, I'm watching from the centre green, you could see that it was getting worse, and we just couldn't carry on after Heat 4, and the rain was still coming
It
down.
was still coming down, yeah.
We obviously made the right decision then because it was still coming down an hour later.
Yeah, it did make the right
track,
decision.
You feel sorry for John as well because he'd obviously got to prepare a track and he'd got to base it on being the best rideable track, not knowing where the rain's going to fall or not.
He was actually watering it when I came in.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. I mean, we did say keep the watering to an absolute minimum. He did keep it to a minimum. But you could see after heat 4, the track was up to its capacity in water. And it would have got a lot worse than that, obviously, if the next step would have carried on.
Well,
So
I can promise you it did get a lot worse because I was there until till 11. It was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And that's who would feel sorry for as well. You guys out there removing the covers off the greyhound track. That's a horrible situation.
We kept ourselves going by calling you bad names. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's normal. Nothing changes on that one. No, I mean those covers are horrible when they're soaking wet. I know the weight of them, etc.
Yeah. No, I'm guessing you probably can't say anything to this, but it's come up on the shout box, so I will put it out there. How many refs have actually rode Speedway? None. So.
Well, true, yes, but they have to look at the conditions. Some have got more experience than others. Some are fledgling referees, basically. No, they haven't, but they should listen. That's the thing. They should listen to what the riders are saying.
Yeah, certainly at the beginning of a meeting, if both riders are saying, both captains are saying, well, this isn't going to fly, then they really should. Laurence Rogers says Mick Bates has. So there you go.
Just to go back to what we were talking about before, Nigel, about highs and lows. That result really against Berwick must rank really, really high, given all the problems that you've had so far this season.
It was badly needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, if we hadn't have beaten Berwick, looking at our promise of getting into the playoffs, would have seemed a lot more doubtful. We had to get that win, and we did. I mean, what a heat 15 it was. Nothing more enjoyable than watching that. And I think everybody agreed, at the end of the day, we proved that we can be up there. That instantly put us up into 6th place in the league and into the playoffs. Yeah. We've got to make sure we remain up there now. We're doing our utmost to do that.
Yeah, and of course, the next match will be against Glasgow, and that's going to be
tough. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. But we're at home, they're away. So with the team the way it's shaping up, it's a shame we haven't had a continuation of meetings. I think we really could have done with one this Wednesday.
Looking at the weather, we might not have got one anyway. So.
Well, no, that's true. And with Plymouth being called up as well for tonight as well. No, it's we could have done with more meetings since Berwick. But that isn't the way it's happened. Yeah. We got the under-19s as well last week, which is another obviously not team meeting. But no, it's going to be tough against Glasgow, but I'm sure we can get out there and give them a very good run for the money. Then you start looking at teams like Oxford. We had a thrashing against Oxford.
So did Poole.
Yeah, but so did Poole. Yeah, and Poole's obviously the other one as well that's up there. They're both going great guns. So no, we should be. If we could finish up 3rd in the league, I would be very happy.
I'd be delirious.
I thought you were going to say you must be delirious.
I don't rule anything out in this sport, as things have been proven time and time again. So you talk about getting into the playoffs. There's it's been mentioned as a sort of mini league going on at the bottom to get that last 6th place, and you got people like Plymouth are sort of making moves and stuff. Obviously, they've had James Pearson and they've had Dan Thompson. So it's all sort of it's a moving target a little bit at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, we've still got Plymouth. You could look at that in different ways, couldn't you? The fact that Dan and James have gone down there. To be quite honest, I can't see Plymouth being a threat to us at all.
Okay.
Got to be honest.
Because that brings us on to the $99 question, which is, we've got to get some replacements, obviously. Have we got any news on that, or is there any news about to happen?
And the news is about to happen, yes, tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning.
Oh, can we pretend it's tomorrow morning?
No. I mean, what can I say? That I don't think it's going to be anything surprising.
Okay.
And you've got to remember why. You've got to remember why Dan has left us now, because he was only signed to replace an injured rider.
Mm-hmm.
So that's giving a little bit away. And yes, we've got somebody coming into the team that I think is going to be very exciting.
Okay. Well, I shall be looking at the feed tomorrow on Tenterhooks then.
And that'll be a full team which we'll have out next Wednesday against Glasgow.
We'll need it. Brian Buck said he really enjoyed the Berwick meeting, as did our special guest.
Oh yes, the mayor.
Yeah, he certainly did, by all accounts, from what he's told me.
Yeah. He really enjoyed it, and he was very, very enthusiastic. Sometimes you get a guest along and they don't really know what's going on, and they just seem half interested. Jo, my wife, was with him all the way through the meeting. He filled absolutely everything in his programme, absolutely everything. And he even named the riders in Heat 15 before they were announced. That's how enthusiastic he was.
I gather he was questioning some of Chris Durno's decisions as well. So from what I've been told.
Well, he actually went up to the referee's box. Yeah. No, he was very, very enthusiastic. He really enjoyed it, and I'm sure he's going to be coming to some more. Actually,
well, that would be good to see, and obviously a good man to have on board with what is possibly a battle to carry on racing at Perry Bar. Have you got any more information about that?
No, I haven't at the moment. There's lots going on in the background, and I mean a lot going on in the background, but not with the actual stadium as such. I mean, that's something I put directly to Andy last week. Well, hold on a minute. Can't we have Alexander Stadium there? That's certainly something I'd love to see.
That would be interesting.
Cool, that is, isn't it?
Yeah. Interesting.
Imagine if letting my mind run away with me. Imagine having Alexander Stadium and holding the British Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
That would certainly be something for the West Midlands,
wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it is really underused, really, for sporting activities.
Yeah, I think we tend to forget about the stadium just up the road. Really,
yes, yeah. I mean, it's a nice stadium.
It's
what is it? Less than half a mile away as the crow flies.
Yeah.
And really and truly, that would be better than, especially with the top tier was put on back on for it. It would be better than Cardiff, apart from it hasn't got a roof over it.
That's the problem, isn't it? I think it's going to be the fact that there's no roof on it, so you lose that sense of security if there's a rain. So,
but on the plus side, it would have a permanent track.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be a temporary track. So that's a big plus point.
Interesting. Okay, heard that here first.
Well, that's it.
As you can imagine, there's been a few people putting some suggestions out as to what tomorrow's riders' announcement might be. So I'm just going to chuck them out there. I'm not expecting you to say anything except play with a straight bat. You need to go a little bit further, Chris. There you go. So we've had Paul Stark, we've had Ash Morris, we've had another fun for Paul Stark, Stefan Nelson, Ben Morley,
Nico Gavatti, that's a blast from the past for Birmingham.
So yeah.
I've just noticed it's still raining outside.
Good diversion tactics.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Well,
very, very impressed with that.
I'm looking at the comments anyway down the side there. So I was prepared for it.
Yeah, so I've actually come to the end of all the questions I've got written
Well, I
down.
wanted to just ask you, Nigel. I mean, one of the things that sort of came into existence this season, of course, was Brummie's TV. Obviously, following in the footsteps of a lot of other clubs now, particularly in the Championship, that stream their own matches. How do you think that's gone so far? What's been the sort of the reaction to it?
It's all positive, to be honest. I was worried that it's going to be taking people out of the stadium on a race night, but the statistics show that it isn't. And the people are watching it around the world, like from Australia. Anybody on holidays watching it. It isn't. It wouldn't away supporters, such as with Berwick. There's not everybody that's going to make the journey down. So there was obviously a big proportion from the Berwick area. It is working very well. Obviously, it's almost half the price of coming into the stadium. You never get rid of that thrill of watching a meeting live.
No.
It's almost like being in the grandstand. It's being in the grandstand behind glass isn't the same as being out on the terraces.
No.
It'll never be the same as actually attending a Speedway meeting. But it's it's looking at the figures for BSN as well. The latest figures came out today. It's looking very good on that. Obviously we get a share out of that at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's not like having people in the stadium, but it is second best. It's an essential part of the sport now, streaming. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and possibly should have happened a bit earlier.
Well, yes, there's a lot of things that could be happening. Gambling's another one. That's another. I think we're going to see more of that coming in with the transponders, etc. You've got betting down at Oxford last season,
Right?
which apparently did work, and that might be another saviour of the sport. It's certainly something that needs pursuing and seeing how things go with that.
Okay.
There's a lot of things like that need to be looked at to further Speedway.
Okay, excellent. I think we've go on.
Before we go, can I just thank again all the volunteers up at Perry Bar? Really, we could not exist without volunteers. Everybody's doing a superb job. I'm there at the top of the tree on the consortium as well, but the consortium now is doing a fantastic job between us. And I think that's something that other speedways need to look at, actually putting a proper consortium into place. But certainly, we are all one big family, and those volunteers, which I know exactly who's included in that, do an absolutely superb job, and we couldn't exist without them. We really couldn't.
There you go. I can't say anything at this point.
Well, no, but yes, you obviously. I was including yourself on that, obviously.
Well, thanks for that.
It's a vital part of the Speedway.
The truth of it is that, like yourself, we do it because we love it.
Absolutely, it's a labour of love, isn't it? So it's not. Sometimes it's hard work.
Yes.
I know. I've done it. Exactly. Moving those and putting down those greyhound covers, especially when it's red, is an absolute nightmare of a job.
Let's get another track.
It's certainly better than going to the gym.
I'm not sure about that. But
be nice to get a track for the Midlands as well. Obviously, with my club, obviously possibly in the same position at the end of the year as well. So,
when have you ever been to the gym?
We'll talk about that later. And on that note,
rather dubious notes.
And be good also. Be good to see you all at the Wetherspoons in Craigleith tomorrow for the release of the book. Bernie Pearson book.
And Laurence has already mentioned that. We might see if we can get him to come on and talk about it in about 5 minutes. But
it should be.
If he wants
to.
Yeah,
it should be a very good evening tomorrow evening. From what I can gather, there's certainly going to be quite a few ex-riders up there, etc.
Did you see him ride, Nigel?
Oh yes, most of it. Yeah.
Yep.
I used to go for a drink with him before the meeting for his 3 pints of lager before the meeting started.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Barry Briggs isn't going to be one of the riders attending, obviously. Even he's,
well, I don't think he can hold a pint tankard very easily these days. If you can see where I'm coming from on that one. No, I don't think he'll be up there. Cribby might be up there. I think Cribby's intending on coming up tomorrow, which is about the nearest one I can think of to Barry Briggs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Fantastic.
yeah, thanks again for coming on the show, Nigel.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I hope you feel a bit better. Laurence has just told me to mention Andy Graham's Legends Night at Friday at Goals.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So,
That'll be another
yeah.
good one at Goals, yes. Those are excellent nights over there at Goals.
Absolutely.
Good venue,
Okay.
good venue.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Nigel.
And we'll see you next Wednesday when I hope to see us thrash the Glasgow Tigers.
Well, I don't. Yeah, it might not be quite a thrashing, but
You've promised me.
be excellent to take away a couple of points. Then.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Thanks again, Nigel, for all
Thanks,
you do,
Nigel.
mate. Take care.
Thank you.
Cheers. My
Cheers.
pleasure.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Right, well, I thought he coped rather better than we did with the noises off.
Yeah.
I don't know, haven't I? I'm blaming somebody else. I'm
Messing
not gonna
about
blame
again.
myself. I'm not
Told you
gonna
about
blame-
experimenting during the show. So.
I'm not going to blame myself.
So what I propose we do now is go straight on to the Nigel Pearson Prediction League, and then if we get the chance, if Laurence wants to come on to talk about the Bernie Person at the end, and we get 5 minutes or whatever, and he can tell us all about that. If let us know, Laurence, if you want to come on. But yeah, let's have a look at. I've done really well this week. I must have come up.
We have had a bit of a stewards' inquiry as well before the
Yes,
show
we should
started.
talk
Yes,
about that. Would you like to elucidate?
Hallucinate.
I'll do that. I'll do that every Tuesday, actually. So
Yeah.
right, obviously the Sheffield Peterborough match yesterday finished after heat 10. I have given several people 2 points for that one because it finished 52. Because it finished, it was a 14-point win, which they predicted. But of course, there's a bit of debate about whether it should still be 2 points because it wasn't a complete match. But it is a result, isn't it? So
It is a result.
So
If you get the league points for it, you should.
yeah.
The teams get the league points for it. I think. I also think I mentioned earlier if somebody, because what we allow in the league is say a win by 14 points, a win by because it's just an easier shorthand.
Yeah.
But some people give the exact score.
Yeah, it depends on how you interpret it. If you've tipped a team to win by 14 points and it finishes as a 14-point win, even though it's not a full meeting.
That's what we're going to go with. If you've given the exact score and that score happens to be a 14-point gap, you'll get both points.
Yep.
So in fact, that's how you've always done it, I believe.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's been taken until now for somebody to spot it. To be fair,
I love that people are taking it that seriously now.
There's a bug involved.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And a t-shirt.
And it's not you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the one that's down in 24th place, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
I'll just give you the top 10. John Bird, Andrew Garner, Gordon Gambrell, Simon Corbett in fourth.
sorry,
Wow.
Oh, for God's sake.
just make sure you're awake. So.
Ben Clifton, I can't. Rich Thomas,
Simon Morgan,
Steve Morgan,
Duncan
Doug
Pemberton,
and Julie
Julie.
Turner, and Elliot Hunt in the top 10.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
And Michael Ace is right the way down the bottom. I'm not even going to bother mention him.
But you just did.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, there's no 20.
Right. Is there any meeting? Oh, it got called off.
Yeah, there
didn't
was
it?
only one meeting tonight, which is Plymouth Berwick, but that is off. So let's start off in the Championship tomorrow night. Oxford against Berwick.
We should have got Nigel Tolley to stay on and give his predictions on this. Mr. Trick. Who was it again, sorry?
Oxford against Berwick.
I think it's up to me this week, isn't it? Oxford against Berwick. Well, Oxford by 22.
I've gone Oxford by 14.
Got Oxford by 16.
Okay. Next up is the BSN Series Final first leg. Poole against Glasgow.
To you?
It's up to you.
Poole by 10.
I'll go Paul by 4.
I was thinking of doing that myself.
You can copy
I
me.
can.
You,
No,
you,
I
you
know,
might
I-
need to, actually.
Pull by 6. I mean, you're my target.
I'm your better.
Yeah.
Okay, Ipswich against Wolves on Thursday is the next one.
Oh, that's up to me. This is where it all goes downhill. I'll go Ipswich by 10.
You beat them last time out, didn't
We
you?
did, yeah. We don't usually do very well there either, so...
I'm going to say Ipswich by 2.
Do you know what? I'm going to say the same thing.
Go on then.
Yeah, I just did. Okay, Kings Lynn against Sheffield on Thursday, isn't it?
And that's up to me. So I'm going to say Sheffield by 8.
Sheffield by 10.
I'll go Sheffield by 12.
Interesting.
Okay. Leicester against Peterborough is the next one. That's on Thursday as well.
That's up to you, Matt.
Leicester by 16 also.
Leicester by 12.
Leicester by 20.
Okay, next up is Glasgow against Berwick on Friday. Those do you want?
And that's up to you, Chris.
Sorry, what was it again?
Glasgow versus... Wake up. Glasgow versus Berwick.
Ooh. I'll go Glasgow by 10.
Glasgow by 16.
I'll go Redcar by 4.
I thought it was Berwick.
Yeah, it is Glasgow v Redcar. It's Glasgow v Redcar.
You said Glasgow versus Berwick.
Did I?
Yes. Didn't I?
You did, yeah?
So we'll start
You
again.
want to get those here, you guys checked. I think
So we'll start that again. Go on, Chris.
I forgot what I said now.
It doesn't matter now because it's different teams. Glasgow versus Redcar.
Glasgow versus Redcar. I'll go Glasgow by 10.
I'm gonna do a draw.
Well, you've gone the same thing then, haven't you?
Yeah.
Spooky.
Right. Okay. Next one, Scunthorpe v Edinburgh.
Scunthorpe versus Edinburgh. It's up to moi. Scunthorpe by 12.
Scunthorpe by 16.
Scunthorpe. Just invented a new team. Scunthorpe by 14.
Okay. Next up in the NDL is Bellevue against Kent.
Bellevue against Kent. Up to you, Matt.
Bellevue by 20.
Bellevue by 14.
Bellevue by 10. Very different.
Okay, next up in the semi-final of the NDL Knockout Cup, Workington against Leicester on Saturday.
Now that's up to you, Chris.
Workington versus Leicester, was it?
Yep.
I'll go Leicester by 6.
I'm going to say Workington by 2.
Go on then.
I did.
I've gone Workington by 2 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, on Sunday in the NDL, it's Mildenhall against Edinburgh.
Up to me. I'm going to go Mildenhall by 6.
I've gone Mildenhall by 16.
I'll go Mildenhall by 14. Me and Matt know what we're talking about, you see.
Really? Who told you that?
You promised me.
Next up on Monday is Wolves against Bellevue.
That's a big one, isn't
That's
it?
a massive match, that is.
And it's up to you,
Would be, wouldn't it?
of course.
I'll go Wolves by 8.
I'll go Wolves by 6.
I've got to go by 4 then to Wolves, haven't I?
Okay, Kings Lynn against Peterborough is the next one.
Is the shout box working? Because there's no scores come up on that.
No, because everybody's done the scores before the,
Okay.
Yeah.
before the show.
Kings Lynn versus Peterborough,
Yeah.
and this is up to you, Chris.
Kings versus Peterborough.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
I'll go Kings Lynn by 4.
I'm going to go Peterborough by 2.
I'll go Kings Lynn by 4.
Big meeting for both clubs,
Yep.
that.
Next up, Sheffield against Ipswich.
Oh, that's a big meeting as well.
Yep.
It's up to me. I'm going to say Sheffield by 6.
Sheffield by 10.
Ooh. was going to go for Ipswich. No, I don't know now.
You could do.
I'll go Ipswich by 4.
We could easily be wrong on that one. That's one of them sort of
track
nonsense,
record,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And the next one, last one as well, Plymouth against Glasgow on Tuesday.
It's up to you, Matt.
Glasgow by 10.
The Plymouth Brummies.
Was it Plymouth versus who?
Glasgow.
Glasgow up in Scotland.
Sure? I'll go Glasgow by 6.
I'm going to say Glasgow by 10.
Nobody's given Plymouth a chance in that one, eh?
Probably not even Plymouth. We shall see. There we go. Right, we'll have a chat about something while Chris gets in touch with Laurence, who said he will come on.
Okay. Have I got his number?
Yeah, you have.
Well, you've got a number, I think, so.
Oh, you might have to give it me again.
Yeah, you two talk about something while
I've got about 300 phone numbers there. Okay, true or false?
Go on then.
True or false? Scunthorpe once played 4 home meetings at Hull. Have a good think about that, please. Thank you. Have a good think about that.
What was the question again, Sarah?
Scunthorpe once rode 4 meetings at
home. Meetings
4
at
home.
Hull.
Yep.
At Hull, Scunthorpe.
Yep.
True.
That seems like a really weird one to.
I know it is.
However,
weird one,
it could be saying it could have been 3 meetings or something, and he said 4. But I'm going to say true.
I'm going to say true as well.
I'll let you know at the end of the show.
Yep.
Lee Woodward says Bomber has got a busy week coming up.
Yeah,
I think he always has.
With all his guest bookings as well, some of it's
Is there any team that Bomber has not ridden for this year?
I don't think he's ridden for Wolves yet.
In the Premiership.
He hasn't ridden for Wolves yet, I know that.
Okay.
I think the fact that these 2 guest performances against us have yielded 1 point in each one is probably...
Yeah. You could possibly put away them. Mm-hmm. So, there you go.
And of course, both with the same team, because he's guested for King's Lynn on both occasions. Because he guessed it for them on the opening night, and he guessed it for them again last week.
Well, that would be an averages thing, won't it?
For the Guta, so... Yep, so... Interesting one. The shout box has been a bit quiet tonight, hasn't it? There hasn't been that much going on, really.
Well, they've all been so scintillated by my interviewing technique, that's what it is. And I believe we have...
Well, they've switched over, so...
Yeah. Right, I believe we have... no, we don't. I'm being given the wave of doom.
You can try now.
Okay, are you there, Laurence?
Hello.
Hello there,
Laurence.
mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
Tomorrow, tell us about Bernie Pearson.
Well, it's been a long time coming, the book. There's been a few problems over the last couple of years on getting it sorted, but now it's out and being launched tomorrow at Wetherspoons in Craby Heath. I've got invites out to quite a lot of ex-Craby riders. I know Cribby's going to come. I think Paul Evitts, Neil Evitts, Anthony Boyd, Ken Wakefield, Mickey Hanley, to name just a few who are coming along to be there. A lot of Crazy fans have been asking how they can get hold of the book. It can be done online, be done by in the post, or they can come along tomorrow and get one, or they can buy them at Wolverhampton and at Birmingham. So it's £10 for the book. That includes a donation to cancer charity, which Susie's daughter wanted, because actually we lost Bernie 3 years ago to cancer.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what's the book called again?
It's called Bernie Pearson, The Black Country Swede, because he had a good black country accent by the time he'd been at Craigsley.
Seems to be something to the Swedes, doesn't it? You know, the Carlson brothers had great black country accents after they'd spent all those years.
Eric Gunderson was...
Eric Gunderson did as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but...
It's a book with a bit of biography in it. It's got a lot of stats in it, a lot of photographs.
Yeah,
and,
well,
for genuine Speedway fans, it's a book hopefully they'll enjoy.
Well, I mean, he was the first genuine world-class rider that Cradley had, wasn't he? I mean, they'd had obviously a of riders who'd been very, very popular with the crowd. But I mean, he was a genuine world-class performer. And let's not forget, of course, he was, he got very close to winning the world title in '72. Of course, obviously he got beaten by Ivan Major in the run-off at Wembley.
Yep, very much so. He was an idol at Dudley Wood, and his daughter Susie was going to have this done by somebody in Sweden, but they're going to charge her silly amounts of money to have it done. They're going to try and translate it. So she was put on to me, and I agreed that I would put the book together for her.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. And so is it? What is it? Is it like an autobiography? Is it, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, very much a biography. Yeah, it goes through his whole career from the time he started, when he first came across with the Swedish touring side to Edinburgh. It goes through sort of the meetings he did for them. It goes through his some of the Swedish stuff, and a lot on his trading side, and then about the World Finals. Mm-hmm. So it's a variety of things in the book.
And Matt's looking at me. I can see his head thinking.
I'd imagine Heat 5 in the '72 final with Brigo probably gets mentioned in that as well, doesn't it? So, because it's fair to say Brigo never ever forgave him for that. So
he didn't forgive him at all. No, but it may not be mentioned somewhere somehow.
We've got a question that's just popped up on the shout box, which I'm not sure it's directed to you. It's probably directed to all of us. It says, "What do we think about Ty coming back to the UK next season?"
It would be good if he does come back. I know he's moved back here because I had a van outside my house the other week when James's van was being picked up from the lads who had been across the pole to pick his furniture up. It was full of Ty's furniture.
I love this. Sorry, we've got stuff coming up out on the shout box. Apparently, the first meeting of the 1929 season, Leeds versus Halifax. The very first meeting of the 1920, and Halifax had 2 guests. So
don't make jokes about Chris Harris.
It wasn't Chris. No, he's not that old.
No.
He's still a young boy. It was good to see him come across last week for the under-19 team. Along with Tom Brown as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did see Bomber there actually. So
did I also see James Pearson there as well?
Yes, James was mechanicking for Freddie Hodder.
Yeah. So that was nice to see as well. Well, I think we've probably exhausted our time now. Look, yes,
just about.
Yeah. Thanks again. There was just one more comment that I wanted to put out, but from Pete, from our mate Pete, who shall forever be now known as Rain Off Pete. He says, at least Laurence does make coffee. Nigel Tolley never gets near a kettle.
He's not allowed in there because Nadia keeps him out.
I see.
Okay.
Nice to know these things. Right, thanks again, Laurence. I'll see you next week, mate.
You're not coming to the Andy Graham meeting on Friday?
Probably not.
Okay.
If I mention my parents, you'll get an idea why not.
Oh, yeah, I can guess then.
So, yeah.
Oh, that was okay, lads.
Yeah. I'll tell you about it next week.
Okay, mate. We'll see you all next week.
Yep, you take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, here we go. I thought it was a not really honest interview with Nigel.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
I think we touched on a few points there, didn't we? So
just remind everybody that we're not going on air next week.
No.
And just for once, it's not Chris's fault. So.
Are we going to get the answer to that?
Okay, so yes my
go.
question was, Scunthorpe once played 4 home meetings at Hull. True or false?
I'm going to say true.
I've said true as well.
Do you want the answer?
Yeah, obviously.
That's why we've asked you, sir.
It was completely false. I just made it up.
Oh,
wow.
But it wouldn't surprise you in Speedway, would it?
No.
No, sorry. I just made it up.
Dan?
I'm sure you'll get over it, sir.
Maybe. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining in. We will see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy your Speedway. Take care.
Hang on a minute. I want to see if I'll talk over it now. Start again now.
What I just said.
Oh, okay.
See you in 2 weeks.
Have a good week, guys. Take care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.